Hi, my name is Ron Vroman. I'm the old man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. And I'm here tonight with William and Richard. William, you want to identify yourself?
Yeah, I'm William Appel. I'm in the Portland area. I'm with the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly.
My name's Richard. I'm a wanted man in the state of Oregon, but I'm one of the people, um, and I'm a supporter. I'm a supporter of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly.
You're a fugitive. That's what you are.
There you go.
Yes. Uh-huh. Uh, I'd like to talk to the people that are watching and listening about what we're doing in the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. We just recently, the 29th of January, the Second Amendment well regulated militia was cured as an entity by us with the feds, the state, the counties, the cities, so that we are now the Second Amendment well regulated militia. They can no longer say that we are paramilitary or we are domestic terrorists or we are anything other than people that are members of the Second Amendment well regulated militia because we have that title, we've earned it, and they've acquiesced to it. Anybody want to say any more on that, or shall we move on?
I I think you should go back to the word cure and tell people what that means to you, what that implies for everybody.
Okay, we
What
made
does
a
that
statement.
process mean?
We made a statement that we were the Second Amendment militia, and we identified ourselves, and they know who we are because we've already been there many times with them. And we gave them 7 days, 14 days, and 21 days to respond or rebut what we had to say. And if they did not respond or rebut, then they will have acquiesced 3 times and defaulted to our statement. And they did acquiesce 3 times and they defaulted to our statement. So our position is considered cured at the end of the 21 days, which was the 29th of last month.
Okay, thank you. That's good. I can comprehend that.
Well, I'm
so what's
glad.
this well-regulated militia to the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, and why is their address now the address of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly?
Well, when we went, I've been looking for the militia for 6 years, and wherever I go, I don't find them. I find guys in t-shirts that say they're 3%ers, and I find other people, and I find people marching around with guns and everything. But when you say, I'm looking for the militia, the real militia, there's two kinds, supposedly. There's the well regulated militia, and there's a story about that. And then there's the unregulated militia of the people. And the unregulated militia is not regulated by Oregon, the state of Oregon, the feds, or anybody else. It is well regulated by the people. That's us. So when I went looking for this, I found guys that said they were militia, and then I talked to them, and they were concerned about things like, look at this law. And the law said, you're a paramilitary, and if you're a paramilitary, then you can be a domestic terrorist. And then so they arrest them and put them in jail. And then they dismiss the charges, but they put them on probation for 18 months to not do anything else, such as uh, maintain their rights to all the things that are implied in the Constitution, one of which is Second Amendment, which is a well-regulated militia, and the right to bear arms, and it shall not be infringed. So they wrote these laws to negate the Constitution. That if you can't prove that you're the Second Amendment militia, well, then they can say you're anything they want. And that's what they do. So, as we have a court and we are lawfully Article 1, Section 1 of the Oregon Constitution, we assume the position of we are the Second Amendment well regulated militia, and we're telling all you people to attend or appear or send your counsel to our court and argue against this if you want to rebut us. And the FBI and the DOJ and the US Marshals and the sheriffs and the police and the Oregon State Police and the Attorney General and the district attorneys, none of them rebutted anything we had to say, and we gave them plenty of time to do it. So when they acquiesced, we, the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, who are also the civilian court on Oregon, became Oregon's Second Amendment well regulated militia because anybody that had anything to say against it had their opportunity and they acquiesced. So now we think if we provide any man or woman that is in the militia with an identification card saying, yeah, I'm in the militia and I'm not a member of your de facto organization over there. I'm an Oregonian. I'm a people. I'm not a person. If we identify the militia people as being that, then that's who they are because everybody that had anything to say about it has already acquiesced to that. So then if somebody gets crosswise with the sheriff down in wherever and they decide to put him in jail because he was exercising his Second Amendment rights, we can go down there with habeas corpus and identify this is our man and he's in our militia and he's in our jurisdiction. He's not in your jurisdiction. He has nothing to do with person and he has nothing to do with your ORS. He has all the rights and benefits of the constitutions, both the United States and Oregon. And that's the position that we're in on this.
Okay. I have a question about in former times before the civilian court came into existence. That was in 2020, right? That the civilian court came into existence?
Yep.
Okay.
June 2020.
So prior to that, June 2020. Okay. So prior to that, there was a unorganized militia. There were two recognized militias under the Oregon revised statutes in Chapter 396, right? There was the National Guard, and then there was the one that was called the unorganized militia. And previously, I mean, there've been that section of the law has been amended over the years a number of times, but previously it had been every male between the ages of 18 and 45 is a member of the unorganized militia of Oregon. more recently, it changed to every person between the ages of 18 and 45. They cut out the gender, the language denoting a gender, and they also added U.S. person. But at point of amendment, you had to acknowledge that you were a U.S. citizen, and that's not even a people. That's a person. And can I clarify that a little bit? Do I have time for that?
Yeah, talk into the mic like you are now, because you were going away.
Okay. Under the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which was put together during the Civil War years, Congress basically said the people who have been chattel property on the plantations down in the southern states, they don't have any experience governing themselves. So we're gonna be their guardians. They will be our wards. So they became the first denoted U.S. citizens. There were no U.S. citizens prior to that, unless you happened to go to Europe and some European fella said, oh, are you from the United States? And you could legitimately say, yes, I am from the United States, but you wouldn't mean you lived in more than one state. But the 14th Amendment calls them, well, this is the 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the state in which they reside, which is a corporate term, and the United States, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So that's a person. They're subject to the law. And we're not talking about them, well, prior to the amendment of the unorganized militia of Oregon, it was the people. It was every man between the ages of 18 and 45. And now it's every person in the state of Oregon.
I want to make a point there.
Yeah, go ahead.
They took it from people, a man, to person, and inanimate or fictitious thing. But the people that don't know the difference, or the persons that don't know the difference, they just think the gender was removed. And the gender isn't what was done. They changed the whole jurisdiction and law form. And what we're doing,
fundamental.
yeah, and what we're doing is changing it back. And another thing I'd like to say is the 14th Amendment was never ratified. It's color of law and play pretend.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply that it had been ratified just by quoting it. It was stuck in there without authority, the authority from the people. Thank you.
Along with the current 13th Amendment, they removed 13 Tona and put this 13 in. Another lie.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me understand now the definition of the militia, male, female, person, all that, is that under the Oregon Revised Statutes?
Not any longer.
Or no, that's where they put it though, right?
Yeah,
not in the
but that,
Constitution.
yeah, they put it in the statutes,
Mhm.
and they changed it to person.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we know that all the statutes are actually supposed to be constitutionally certified, right?
In line with, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
supposed
so
to implement.
so that was one that actually was not in line with in the beginning, correct?
It was in the beginning when they said men, because the only
Yeah,
way you could be a man or men is to be a body, mind, spirit.
that's right.
You
But
can't.
the 18 to 45 is not in the Constitution, correct?
No, but yeah, it is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's what they said. That because at that time they wanted only able-bodied men in the militia. But at that time, they were still fighting Indians and trying to settle the land out here so that they could steal it from the original inhabitants, which they did by force, and which is the way the world has operated since it very began. The Indians did the same thing. They conquered each other and took possession of territory by conquest. We weren't the first ones to do it just because we were white guys out here trying to farm Oregon.
All right.
So does that answer your question, William?
Yeah, yeah. I just want to keep pointing back to, whether something is constitutionally correct or it's in a revised statute that might be questionable in comparison to the Constitution.
Well, can I address that one? We
Go
are
ahead.
we are the Second Amendment well-regulated militia. That's what we are. And we didn't define any of that. But as we are also Article 1, Section 1 of the Oregon Constitution, which is the group that makes the decisions because all power is inherent in us, then we decide when we talk to the people that are running the militia with them, okay, do you want to have females in the militia like the Israelis? I imagine they'll say yes. I sure as hell know that some of the women I know will want to be in the militia.
And if
So,
I'm 50, and if I'm 52, I can be there too, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
But I'm a lot older than that and I don't want to be there.
I'm
It
able-bodied.
does say able-bodied. The current law does say able-bodied, all able-bodied persons. So it's still able-bodied.
Only in the
And
de
you're
facto,
not,
Richard.
well, I mean, people like William who are in excess of 45 years, he potentially can be in the militia because he's able-bodied.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. There's no age limit. Every able-bodied people is part of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly's militia.
Agreed.
Okay.
Now all we have to do is protect them lawfully, correctly. We just cannot let Kate Brown and her oligarchy in Salem take away any more rights. They're down there now holding session in a building that's locked up where the people that they are supposed to be providing the benefits to are not allowed to be in to watch. That is disgusting.
And it's not only that you're not allowed in, you can't even use a telephone to call in and even talk to staff of a legislator. There, if you call down there and you call 90 legislators, 30 senators, and 60 representatives, you will not get your calls answered in 90 different calls.
But by the
Unless
How do
they,
you do that?
Constitution, they're required to let us have our speech in the session, correct?
yes, they are, but they don't stand. That's the problem. They they are operating as a corporation instead of operating as government. It is just absolutely revolting. I don't know what we're going to do to make the whole thing better, but we're going to take it one step at a time. I'd like to bring a point up here. When you can't approach these people because they're not there and they won't answer the phone and they take messages which they don't answer, they are no longer accountable to the people. But we can still make them accountable by the Universal Postal Union Treaty. We take a document down to the post office, properly present it, pay a buck and a half and put a 2-cent stamp on it, sign across the 2-cent stamp, put it in an envelope, use form PS 3817, give them a buck and a half, and for $2.02, you have served anyone in the corporate governance in the United States or in Oregon, and they cannot deny it. Whereas they can say, I didn't get the email, they can say, I didn't get the letter, they can say, I didn't get the phone call. But when you serve them through the Universal Postal Union, they don't have to answer the door or sign a document or physically receive it. It's all done at the post office for $2.02. Works like a dream.
Well, if we're
Amen.
not getting representation, then it sounds like we're back to the revolution at the beginning of this whole fiasco in 1700. Right?
I think so.
I do
That
too.
it
We are exactly in the same place. We are being taxed without any say so over how much it should be and for exactly what. Yeah, we're in the same place as we were. History repeats itself.
I think we're in a much better place. Those guys, they didn't have all the documentation that we have because they were inventing being free. They were inventing being a sovereign human being without subjects. They were inventing all of this stuff that they wrote down. Nobody else had ever done that in the history of the world. And we have all
They
of that
weren't
information and documentation available to us.
they weren't inventing it. They were becoming aware of it. They were learning it. We have always had what we have. We have never had less than all power. It's just that we have, from that point forward, we've been learning it. We've been becoming aware of it.
You're a very good
Agreed or
wordsmith, Richard.
thank you.
Yes. Semantics.
It words count.
Oh,
Words are
they
important.
do. Oh, yes, they do. They count a lot,
Okay.
and you got to use the right ones. How much time we got?
3 more minutes.
All right. Does anybody have anything they'd like to wrap up with? I have one thing that I'd like to do. We didn't start this with a prayer because we didn't have Charlie with us. And we didn't take a moment of silence either. And the difference between us and them is the difference between good and evil, God and Satan, and moral and immoral, and all of those things that separate people on the land doing the best they can for God and country separates us from persons drawing a paycheck from the corporation to do what they're told, regardless of what it costs or does to their fellow man. And I'd like everybody from the Department of Justice all the way down to the local cop right here in Beaverton. We're coming for you. That's all I got to say.
So was that our moment of silence that you were asking for?
Let's have it.
I think that's good enough. Amen.
Amen.
All right, another good show.
Like, subscribe, and all of those things.
Yep, like and subscribe. Go to our YouTube, our Facebook, our website. Spread the word. Wake up. Don't be woke. Wake up.
Find one of the Jural Assembly members and sign up for the grand jury.
Yep, time is of the essence.
Are you going to put up our information so that they'll know how to contact us from?
Yep, all
Okay.
that stuff will be on there. All right,
Okay.
sounds like a good show. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.